Sumo block pulls don't work, especially for lockout issues, is what the lifters and coaches who don't know how to do them or program them always end up saying. Should have moved the camera down so I didn't have to crouch to stay in frame. Because for every lifter in the team who has sticky lockout problems with their sumo deadlift, I have been able to reliably use sumo block pulls to help solve those lockout issues, like Adamir pulling an all-time PR at 675 and making it look easy. So what's the deal? Why does everybody think sumo block pulls suck, and what have I done to make them so reliable at building a strong lockout? Well, it comes down to two things. The first is the old cliche that everyone says to fix sumo lockouts, we need to start with the start position. The second is the lifter's goal and what they're trying to achieve with the start position on their sumo block pull. Because what are most lifters going to do when they see a sumo block pull in their program? They're going to take advantage of that higher start position, shove their hips as close to the bar as possible, and get their torso pretty much straight up and down, which is exactly why you'll see guys doing sumo block pulls that are 25, 50, even 100 pounds more than they could ever pull off of the floor. They are using the block to make the block pull very easy. Which brings us to point two, because if we're doing a block pull, the goal is to set up the start position to make it as hard off of the block and to finish the lift as possible. Because unless you're built like Jamal, your torso will not be super vertical off the floor on a sumo deadlift. And if we get in the habit of creating that ultra upright off the block, we are going to learn to get upright too soon, and we're going to run out of hip leverage to be able to finish the lockout. So if you're doing sumo deadlifts wrong, of course, they're going to suck as a training stimulus. But the instructions I'm going to give to any lifter doing a block pull, whether they're sumo or conventional, is that with that higher start position, we want to make the torso angle the same as it would be if we were pulling from the floor. Because that start position is higher, if we have the same torso angle that we have off of the floor, it means that our legs are going to be relatively straighter, which is going to remove leg drive from the picture and put more of the work into the hips and the back. Plus, if we're thinking about ideal knee-hip sequencing on a deadlift, sumo, or conventional, we want the legs doing most of the work off the floor, so we're not going to see a lot of torso angle change on that initial push. So if we're running the block pull with the same torso angle that we have off the floor, that's going to be a very similar torso angle to what we want at the mid-range, and learning to keep the torso angle lower, higher in the pull is going to help the lifter with their timing on a full range deadlift. So all we need to do to make a block pull work is to make sure we're setting up with the right torso angle and approximating the angle that we would have if we were pulling from the floor. And if we do that, not only are we going to be building lockout strength, but we are going to be reinforcing the timing we want on a full range deadlift. And one of the bigger problems I see with newer lifters, newer coaches, is people want to write out a movement before they even figure it out because they're just playing the shitty game of human centipede telephone that happens in powerlifting coaching, because they'll hear someone say something and they just repeat it without ever putting any thought into it. And this comes down to more movements than just sumo block pulls. Whether we're talking about box squats, board presses, accommodated resistance for a raw lifter, they all have valid reasons to be used if we understand why we are using them, the problem we're trying to solve, and how to set up the movement to get the most out of it in order to solve that problem. And that's why I'm doing everything I'm doing on the YouTube channel and with Team Activated, because my goal isn't just to tell lifters what to think, it's to help teach them how to think so they can make better choices in their own training and better understand why they're doing what they are. So if you're sick of shitty powerlifting coaching, getting limited feedback, and having no clue what is going on, hit the link below, join the team, because you're going to be able to get daily individualized coaching directly from me, where I'm going to go super deep into the intent, the technical side, and everything that you need to know in order to make the best progress possible as a lifter. So hurry up and sign up.